Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joe Tophat. Originally, I was going to talk about the new Christopher Robin trailer, since last week I gave my thoughts on the new Grinch trailer. Truth be told, I don't have much to say about it, other than it reminds me of Robin Williams' Hook. I was on Cartoon Brew a few days ago, and I happened upon an article about a possible new Little Nemo movie. That's the one bit of news that got me excited, more so than the Christopher Robin or the Grinch. According to the article, which you can find in the link in the description, Hiram Osman is set to direct this movie for a studio in Canada called On Animation. For those of you who don't know, Little Nemo was a comic strip from the early 1900s produced by creator Winsor McCay. Little Nemo was a full-page Sunday comic strip that featured the adventures of a boy named, Nemo. Everything was a dream, so he could get away with some fantastic and beautiful imagery. Every strip ends with Little Nemo waking up. The comic was one of the most beautifully drawn I've ever seen, and nothing like it has existed ever since. McCay was not only a pioneer in the world of comic strips, but in animation as well. He first started with doing little bits of animation for his own characters from Little Nemo, but his most famous work had to have been one of Gertie the Dinosaur. There's still amazing bits of animation to check out, especially considering that he did it all by himself. This won't be the first time that Little Nemo was adapted into a movie. There was one done back in the 1980s that had some of the most famous names in animation working on it. Disney animators Frank and Ollie were consultants for the movie. Brad Bird even worked on the animation for about a month. The Sherman Brothers, who wrote some of the most popular Disney songs, wrote the music, and even anime legend Miyazaki worked on the movie during the early 80s, but left and would later call it the worst experience of his career. Production on that movie was a mess in general, and it proved to be a box office bomb. Though, in all honesty, I never thought the movie was as bad as some reviewers have made it out to be. Though, I'm the first to admit that it does have its problems. I was having a conversation with my brother a few days ago where we said it's a shame that a lot of comic strips that were done way before Peanuts are largely forgotten. Comic strips like Terry and the Pirates, Little Abner, Dick Tracy, Little Orphan Annie. While there are geeks like myself who are aware that these comics exist, most aren't aware of them unless there was some movie made way back in the day. We both thought it was a shame that Hollywood largely ignores these old comic strips and feel they should be adapted. And so that's why I'm actually really excited to see a Little Nemo movie made. When people say Nemo these days, they think of that little fish from Finding Nemo, a movie I personally found boring. But they forget that there was a Nemo way before that little fish existed. And I feel doing a movie, especially an animated one, would help bring more attention to Little Nemo. And I feel like old comics in general should be adapted into animation. I'd love to see an animated Dick Tracy movie if Warren Beatty ever allows one to be made. But there is one thing that disturbed me about this article I read. One of the producers of the movie said that Little Nemo is truly an unlimited source for astounding adventures. I don't find anything objectionable about that. It's true. But the next part disturbs me. McKay created a world made for CGI a century before the technology existed. No he didn't. He created a world for the comic page. A very beautifully drawn comic page, but a comic page nonetheless. And he later adapted it to animation. Hand-drawn animation. Little Nemo was never meant to be CGI, because it didn't exist back then. I get what he's trying to say, but too often these days, CGI is valued more than hand-drawn animation. The stuff that McKay animated 100 years ago is still beautiful to look at, and a lot of CGI animation from just a few years ago is painful to the eye. I'm not opposed to using CGI for Little Nemo. Peanuts movie showed that CGI can work for classic comic strips when done right. Maybe Little Nemo would look good in animation, but I don't like this idea that McKay created it for CGI. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the man's meaning, but I feel very strongly about hand-drawn animation. I hope this Little Nemo movie turns out very well and leads to other classic comic strips like Terry and the Pirates, Popeye, Dick Tracy, and many others to get the same animated treatment as well. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.